So, hey, everybody. I think most of you guys know me by now, but my name is John Smalley. I'm the CEO of Symterra, Inc. I'm on a mission to interview 52 people over the next 52 weeks, really driving the conversation around sustainability and innovation within pest control. As I go through that process, I'm trying to get a wide variety of experts, some being pest controllers, some being academia, some being business people. And today I've got Richard Stewart with us. He is the owner of PestPro's, a successful pest control operation in the United Kingdom. Richard, really excited to have the conversation with you today because a lot of the people I've talked to date have been based out of the United States. As you know, and we know, we do a lot of business in the United Kingdom at Symterra. And you're one of the customers that we've worked with over there. So really want to be able to share the conversation that we have today with our clients that are not based out of the United States, that may be based out of Europe or the United Kingdom or Asia or Africa or Oceania, wherever that may be. And I'm hoping that I can pick a little bit on your experience. You've been doing this for a while. You've got a great reputation, and get your feedback on specifically sustainability and innovation and where you see it in pest control, but specifically birds. Does that work for you?
Yeah. Hi, John. Great to be with you today.
Yeah.
Nice to discuss the product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reason all behind it. So, yeah, I mean,
hey, do me a favor, Richard, real quick. Tell the group a little bit more about you and your company, and how long you've been doing this, what you do.
Yeah, PestPro Bird Solutions. We started back in 2011, and we've always been primarily a bird-related specialist rather than just general pest control. So, and we're always looking to innovate and stay ahead of any technologies that are available within our sort of circle field. So, we work for a lot of companies. We try to do business to business rather than domestic works. So we cover a lot of warehousing, construction sites, anywhere really where they've got bird controls, retail department, stores, places like that.
Okay.
So, and as I say, we're always looking for an innovative product because we're finding that more and more people are looking at the humane side of bird control, and it's becoming prevalent in the UK at this point in time.
Let's talk about that then, if you don't mind. You do have a good clientele base there. You do know a lot of people, and you just brought that up, and that's actually a point that I'm trying to push a lot, is that I think the pest control community, but specifically the people buying pest control, are more focused now on humane and innovative solutions, sustainable solutions than ever. What are you seeing, Richard, with regards to the conversations you're having with your clients? What's important to them, and specifically maybe talk about the changes that you've seen in the United Kingdom over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, because one of the biggest sort of bird proofing systems used in the UK is bird netting. Mm-hmm. And bird netting, aesthetically, it's not very nice on buildings. It's a bit of an eyesore, but primarily it needs to be maintained. And a lot of companies don't maintain the nets. They don't have a maintenance contract put in place with the clients when they do it. So effectively, if the net starts to suffer through wind, the weather, icing, etc., and it starts to break down, then the birds can get in, and then you've got the problem of the birds being trapped in the net, not getting out. And then the public see these, and they don't want to see things like dead pigeons or pigeons that are constantly flying backwards and forwards, banging into the net.
Yeah.
So from a PR point of view, it's not good for companies. And in the UK, bird welfare is quite a high related issue. We've got the Royal Society of Prevention of Birds and the RSPCA. So, and there's a lot of instances where it's been recorded on newspapers, all the pictures of birds trapped in the net, hanging there and everything. So companies are questioning if there is a different product that we can utilize that won't cause those issues.
Great. Yeah. We're obviously behind that. I think we're leading in a lot of that. You've had personal experience with Symterra. So do me a favor and tell me more about your experience that you have with Symterra, and how does that stack up against nets or other options that you might use from time to time?
Yeah, well, Symterra, I find, is sort of like the perfect system to use instead of a net, where it's feasible to use it, because it provides the cover, the protection from the birds. Aesthetically, you can hardly see it on the building. So, and maintenance is minimal on the actual installation, provided it's done correctly in the first place. And you're not going to have the humane issues which are affecting companies from the public perception. So the actual Symterra system is more or less like an electromagnetic net that sits around the building and keeps the birds off. Yeah. So really, it's a win-win situation for us, because we're providing what the client wants, and it's a win for the client because they're getting an effective solution to their bird problem without any of the problems associated with previous netting, spiking, those sort of systems.
Yeah, maintenance is a big thing, because we're not a cheap system, right? And I think everybody knows that. But when you look at the cost of maintaining our system being so low after it's installed, and that's assuming it's installed correctly, which you've dealt with firsthand, the maintenance really is quite low. And eventually the birds just go away. They quit trying to they kind of just put a black hole around that location and stop trying to nest there or loaf there,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tell me about, can we talk about the install experience? I'd like to know what your feeling is on the difficulty or the ease associated with installing our system, but more so maybe tell a quick story about probably the one project we're specifically both thinking about right now that you fixed for us and ended up gaining a client.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a fair few installations now, ranging from holiday lets right up to warehouses, large shopping mall where you had issues with service yards, pigeons going in there. And we went up to York to repair a system that had been installed by another company that had been damaged by the truck, which was reversing into the loading bays, because the system was preventing the birds from flying into the loading bays. So we went on site, but it wasn't a very good installation in the first place. So effectively, we removed the whole installation, redesigned it, reinstalled it, and the client is 100% happy, because since then they haven't had a bird in the store at all coming in through the loading bay doors.
That's awesome. So, how do you see products like Symterra? Let's talk more so maybe your view on the future of pest control in the United Kingdom. Do you see these products becoming more popular? Do you see pest control companies wanting to adopt this type of product, or do you see still a lot of resistance around challenging the status quo of nets or other solutions?
Well, I think in the UK, a lot of pest controllers fall back on netting because there's not a lot of bird specialists as such. We've got a lot of pest controllers, and the wholesalers are pushing training for bird proofing, because they're saying to the pest controllers, oh, this is a good income stream. If you're not doing bird proofing, you should be doing it. And what they're doing when they go to a training course, they're just showing them how to net and spike, or use like the bird gels. So nobody's actually pushing forward systems like Symterra or the laser systems that are around.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and that's one of the issues we've got in the UK. So everybody's like going into netting, and they haven't really got past experience of it. So you're getting a lot of bad installations from netting, which again is giving that side a bad name.
Yeah.
But
yeah, to be clear too, I've been in pest control. I've owned pest control companies that do the actual work. I believe that there is a home for netting. I believe that there is a home for the gels, right? I don't think that Symterra is always the best solution for every problem, especially because of our cost effectiveness, you know. But I do think that when you're talking about larger netting jobs and you compare that to Symterra, that the ROI for the client and the profit associated with the actual pest controller typically is better. You know, can you explain or tell me more about when you look at doing an install with netting versus an install with Symterra, what's your feedback on the two?
Well, with netting, I mean, provided, it's got to be installed correctly and that. So the clients are happy enough with it, those that want to go with netting. But then we find there could be issues with netting. And like, one way Symterra scores is its lightness of installation. So a lot of buildings in the UK, they're old buildings, they've got old fragile roofs. So where you could put netting, you can't because of the infrastructure that you need to hold the net up in the first place. So when you got, lots of roof mounts, weight of the net, you've got the icing considerations on the net at a later date. Some buildings you just can't install it. So Symterra, can be a good alternative for that system. So netting scores over large areas, if you've got a massive roof to cover as such. But it all depends down to bird behaviour, where the bird problem is on the particular building, if they're in one area of the roof, if they're favouring, which they normally do. So if you're selective with where you do your bird proofing, then you can get a choice of how you proof that building, because you don't necessarily have to cover the whole roof.
Absolutely. With us, you just cover largely the perimeter and sometimes a couple of HVACs in the middle.
Because the birds, they're nesting on those roofs, they want to be down in the gully, depends where the prevailing winds are coming from, because they want to be out of the weather, especially if they're nesting as much as they can. So, and that's where the knowledge comes into fitting these installations and the installations being effective.
Richard, what would your advice be? I know you're probably not wanting to give your competition a ton of advice, but you're a pest controller, right? And you're supporting your family and you're looking at different ways to grow your business, whether it's Symterra or other innovative solutions, the laser, things that are a little bit more humane, don't have regulatory issues, low on the maintenance side. What would your advice be to another pest controller who's contemplating on whether they should give Symterra a shot or a product like Symterra?
Well, first and foremost, get the training, get proper grounded training in the product, its limitations, what you can, what you can't do with it, what to expect. So then you're not trying to oversell to a client or underselling to a client. You've got to be confident that you can plan the installation correctly. So, if you're a pest controller that's not got great bird experience, then get online and start to learn about bird behavior, etc. I mean, there's plenty on the internet nowadays from loads of different manufacturers, pest controllers like us. So, it's to learn the product well and to learn about the problem well as well. So you understand. There's no point putting it in if you don't understand what you're trying to achieve by installing the system.
I'm happy you said that. We brought this product. We were first to world with this product about 3 years ago. That was our first version of the product, and it's now evolved. The newer version, as doesn't have any shock to it. It has actually better output, slightly different technology. But I will tell you that one of the things we've really had to grow, and I'm pretty proud about where it's at now, is our training program. And we know that if we can get the client trained the right way, just that kind of aha moment, that experience when you see the system go up, because there's nothing else like it, and those birds just simply can't land. It's it's a real satisfying experience for some of us. So, what type of clientele do you think, in your opinion, what type of clientele really does well with a Symterra type technology or Symterra itself?
Well, forward-thinking clients, I mean, and I think nowadays, because with the internet and everything, like a lot of facility managers, they'll research what products are available. So they've got this image of what they want to achieve and what their problem is. And then they'll call the likes of our company and say, can we give them some advice? Can we go down, do a survey, what our recommendations are? So, and then we can recommend the right product for the right instance, and for what they're trying to achieve.
So we don't do the install at Symterra. We count on partners like you, right? Yeah. Across the world to do those installs. If a customer wanted to consider it and they're in the UK, what would be the easiest or the best way for them to get a hold of PestPros and Richard Stewart?
Well, they can go onto our website, which is PestPro Bird Solutions.co.uk. All the contact info's on there, contact forms, numbers, or look us up and just give us a ring, and then we're always willing to do surveys, speak to people, see what their issues are, and help them out. And the same with pest control companies, if they're looking into maybe going into bird proofing, but they're unsure about it, we can all support other pest controllers. We could do consultation side for them.
Yeah, you guys have been great.
And those sort of lines, so they've got some backup and they're not doing it like cold turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look, I really appreciate you and that partnership because, to be fair, you've been pretty selfless about that type of stuff. You've been willing to help, and I think it's now going to come full circle, and we've got a couple of really cool projects and opportunities that we're working on with you guys. But I appreciate the approach that you've taken with that. And if anybody who watches this, is interested in learning more, they can always reach out to us, and we'll give them your contact information.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, Richard, I know you're busy. I told you I wouldn't take up more than 15 minutes of your time. I'm probably right there. So I just want to say thanks a lot. Again, Richard Stewart with PestPro Bird Solutions. If you got any questions or want to reach out to him, we'll put the contact information into our marketing whenever we clean this up and put this out. Or you can reach out to us at hello@gosymterra.com, and we'll get you Richard's information. But Richard, keep up the good work. I appreciate it. This focus that you're driving on sustainability and innovation, specifically with birds, it means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to you, and it means a lot to our clients. So really appreciate you and everything that you're doing.
Yeah, great to speak again. So likewise, we want to drive the product forward. So because we think it's the right products at the right time in the marketplace. So we need to push
two of us. Yes. Awesome. All right, Richard. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks a lot then. Nice to meet you again.